Hi, Cyndee Haydon here, and I have some exciting news that I wanted to share. I've invited my friend Margaret Martin to come and share with you some of the new announcements that are available for people that might find themselves displaced or unemployed. And so stay tuned to find out three upcoming opportunities to get some good information to have an impact. But before we do that, I want to make sure that I have Margaret introduce herself, tell us a little bit about yourself, and let's kick it off.
Thank you, Cyndee, so much for having me here, because this is an exciting time for some of the folks in our state, for some resources for them. But, well, Cyndee and I have known each other for quite a few years through Leadership Pinellas, but today I wanted to talk about my work as a career consultant with Newland Associates. Newland Associates is an outplacement services firm. We also provide leadership coaching, executive search, quite a few other things that we do, but my role is as a senior certified career consultant. So I've actually been in outplacement services 13 years. So I have worked with thousands. I wish I'd really kept count of how many people, thousands of people, edited thousands of resumes, LinkedIn profiles, all of that. So I just love the opportunity to work with people in that situation. And this is predominantly as we work with client companies. And so when they're doing layoffs, their folks get referred to us to work with them. So that's sort of how outplacement services works for those people who may not know.
Awesome. I actually put the information here, so I'll have it in the video, but tell us a little bit about what Newland's offering. And again, we'll provide the link later. So if you can't see it, I'm going to switch off of the background because sometimes it makes me that green screen effect. But we did want to just at least have it up there and not lose track of it for anybody that might be just watching by video. So tell us a little bit about, what they're offering right now, because what we did, let me just back up. We just got the unemployment numbers for March on April the 3rd. And, quite honestly, it really was just the early people impacted in March. We saw predominantly the service workers, hotels, restaurants, those kind of things. We saw a number around 770,000. And what I've heard is the prediction that will come out on the May 8th unemployment report is expected to possibly tip 60 million for the United States, and obviously Florida, as one of the larger states, will be deeply impacted. So, so that's why it's so awesome that you guys have thought about how could you help people that in no way could have planned for this, right? Like none of us could have planned for this, but yet many people will find themselves in a situation that they need to respond and have a plan and just have some clear thinking about their options. So thank you for that. And like I said, go ahead and tell us a little bit about what you guys just announced today.
Well, what we're doing is starting next week, we will be providing a weekly series of webinars. They're free and they're live. So what we're doing is we're offering Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays starting next week through about mid-June. So it'll be weekly. And in the series, the first one on the Tuesdays, our Tuesday workshop and webinar is about helping people take a look at their stress. I mean, whether you've been laid off or not, this is still a stressful time. But if you're one of those people in the state of Florida that's been impacted by the layoffs, this is a resource for you. So we'll look at stress, how to handle stress, provide some tips for that. We'll also talk about budgets, because this is a time people really need to crunch in the budget and be able to look and see where they need to make some cuts. We've got some tips for that as well, and we'll have some information about Florida unemployment, the newest website, where to file, and then career decisions, because a lot of people will be looking in the same career field, but others may have to take their skills that they have and see how it will transition to another company or industry. Then on Wednesdays, we work on resumes. That's all it is. It's resumes, the components of resumes, the newest and up-to-date trends with resumes, fonts, different things like that. And then on Thursdays, we will be providing resources and tips for job application and interviewing. So we try to make it as comprehensive as we possibly can. And these are just 45-minute webinars, so there's a lot of information that is in there. Also on our website is our handouts for this and a lot of other resources as well within the website. So that's, that's some of the things that people will be getting during this time.
That's amazing. So when you described what was going on during the week, will you be recording those and then somebody could go back and see it, or is it they need to really be on it, or how does that going to work?
I'm pretty sure they're going to need to be on it. We may be recording it and replaying, but since they're offered weekly, and we have a basic script of what we're going to be saying. So if I'm not the one that's facilitating it, someone else is. It's going to be the same basic information, maybe unless something new comes about that we need to share in 3 weeks from now, then be able to do it like that. But we're trying to make it live in person. There's a Q&A time for about 10 minutes at the end. So
good. So basically, if I hear you right, it's sort of, a boot camp, like weekly, and then you could actually, so you, in the course of a week, you would cover all of that. And then if somebody couldn't attend 1 week or they needed to hear it again, there might be that opportunity because it's the same material.
Yes.
Excellent.
Yes.
I remember when I had an opportunity to, as a realtor, I haven't needed a resume for a long time. Even when I worked at IBM, I did. And I had an opportunity to apply for some positions in some volunteer capacities. And it was really interesting to have someone like yourself that really specializes in that, because I didn't really know what people are looking for. How do they word them, all that kind of stuff. And just the ability to really shortcut that process for someone. And for many people, they might not have done it in the last 5, 10, 15 years. And I'm imagining that what people are looking for has changed over that time. Is that right?
Oh, exactly. The application process has changed, and the interview process right now is definitely changed because there are very few live in-person interviews that are going on. And I have heard of a few from some of my clients that I'm working with, but of course they're keeping the safe distance, the physical distance. But for the most part, they're happening over video. Zoom is certainly one of the processes people use, or one of the resources, Skype, and there are a lot of other platforms that I don't even know about, but definitely video. So that's
Right.
Some of the things we talk about as far as, how to prepare for a video interview.
Good. Hopefully you tell them to wear pants. So I've seen where the interviewer says, stand up and let me see what you're wearing. So I think we can all give everybody that tip right now. Is show up to the interview like you would in person. But
exactly. And that's the funny thing is I see so much people posting about, only dressing from the top up. I've worked from home for 20 years. I've been on video conferencing for, 5 years or so. I always get up and get dressed the same thing. I don't wear, I wear a full outfit. So if I have to go meet a client offsite, then boom, I can go. So I haven't changed anything since this stay-at-home situation is going on. So yes, fully dressed, because you just never know. Computers, phones slip if you're on your phone, using your phone or your tablet. Those things flip and slip sometimes, no matter how well you set them up. So just be prepared for the unexpected.
Yeah, and I know even for myself, doing some of these interviews like this, learning to use the do not disturb. You're in the middle of an interview and someone calls you and everything goes haywire. So I'm sure, again, a lot of those just practical things beside, the reality of what other skills and things to highlight, but just really setting yourself up for success.
Exactly.
And I'm imagining that, even for people that maybe aren't displaced yet, but may, wonder, or also may be considering a career change, they could take advantage of this opportunity that you guys are providing.
Absolutely. It does. I don't, I did look at the registration process the other day, but I apologize that I know it does ask some questions, and are you impacted by the COVID, being laid off during COVID-19? That's not, if you say no, that's not going to stop you from being able to register. So the point is, it's here, it's available, and anyone throughout the state of Florida, because Newland Associates covers all of Florida and the
Okay.
Caribbean. So we do work with people, out in the islands. So
Yeah, I knew you had shared that with me before, that it really covered all of that. So the exact dates when it starts again, because I know you guys literally just announced this today. So thanks for sharing it so I can get the word out for people that might
sure,
be
and
able to benefit.
we're very excited that you're helping us get the word out. The first series starts next Tuesday morning at 9 a.m. All of them are 9 a.m. in the morning. So the first one is Tuesday the 21st. That's the one about stress, budgets, and career decisions. Second one is on Wednesday morning, the 22nd, 9 a.m. And then Thursday, the 23rd, 9 a.m. So all of them are 3 in a series. If for some reason, for instance, you can only take one of them, you can go and take it, register for the next week anytime. So you can register for the weeks and dates that you want.
Great. So, you've been doing this for a long time. Let's just talk about how people are feeling right now, right? I mean, because even I remember that I worked for a company that I made the choice to leave, but we kind of, there were some situations where management and employee treatment, it wasn't something that, was within my integrity. And so I just felt the need to go. But even in that, even sort of planning it, there was a loss or, emotional things going on that I think people may not realize are just a natural part, almost like how when someone passes away, there's a grieving process. I imagine there's a natural spectrum of emotions that people may be experiencing and not even realize that that's part of this transition process. Would you say?
That's a very good point. That is one of the things we cover in the first program, first webinar, but certainly job loss is a loss,
Mm-hmm.
no matter whether you're whether you're expecting it, and certainly when you're not expecting it. And the way all of this transpired for us in the US, and certainly in other places in the world, but for all of us, it was like, it wasn't like what we experienced back in 2007 and 8 and 9, when companies then just had to lay people off because of the economic impact. People have to lay people off because the company's closed right now. The company may or may not reopen. And these are some of the unknowns that I talk with people about. We don't know
Right.
what it's going to look like. So what I'm helping people do is prepare the best they can, as if we are going to have the same types of jobs available, the same career options available. We know that won't be the right thing for everyone, but yes, this emotional situation, and then you throw in the stay-at-home situation we're in, all of the other factors that are going on with the stress with people dealing with everyone at home, all the children there, all of the things people are going through. Sometimes I just can't imagine.
Right. I know.
because so you throw that into the job layoff, and it could be that both, if they're couples, families, and both people may have been laid off, and there's a lot of emotion going on. So yes, it is like a death. You do it's shock, it's total disbelief, and then it could be depression. So there's a roller coaster of emotions that can happen. And then you get into the acceptance phase of, okay, this is what it is. But then again, it could rotate back to denial. So it can go on, as I call it, a roller coaster of emotions that can come and go depending on whatever the daily circumstance are. So that's why I really encourage people to, especially in this first session, we're really going to dig into stress, how to deal with it, how to handle, what are some of the good processes to use, and provide them with some resources with that.
You know what I think is a really important opportunity for people is this. What other people like yourself have explained to me, and I've experienced it myself, is when something happens out of my control, it can be very, the anchor kind of goes. You're sort of like a boat, sort of floating, and you don't know in the directions. You don't know. And I think about a lot that this event is very similar to 9/11, when we just, like, none of us really knew. Everything that we took for granted was kind of shaken for a while of, like, what is true?
Yeah.
And I imagine there are people going through this that not only were impacted at work, but also could know people impacted by this virus and be having other complications. But what I have heard people share with me, and I've experienced myself, is, being able to take control and take a positive action. There is something grounding about that. This is an opportunity that people do have control over. They do have control over their ability to get good information, to learn more about stress, to learn more about the options are. And even if it turns out they go back to their job and it turns out that this, it's more information and opportunity now that, quite frankly, normally people would have to, allocate funds to pay for. So it's an opportunity to use this time proactively. And even in this, the first week, I was really, as a realtor, obviously not going out with real estate and a little swirly, and just, I said to people, I have hurricane brain. I couldn't focus. Luckily, I don't have small children still at home, so that wasn't a challenge. But what I know is being able to focus proactively on something really was like a rudder for me to get back into feeling like I was going in a positive direction instead of just spinning and worrying. So I think that even if people are feeling a little, probably a lot lost, this is a time that just doing this for themselves could really have a positive benefit. It's I don't know. I mean, again, imagine that you've seen things like that, right? I mean, it's helpful.
Exactly.
Just the action of taking control, and you're like, you can do this and I can do this. I can't control whether my company is able to hire me or not. I can't control when the next job will come.
No, there's so much you can't control. And some of the people I'm currently working with, their company was laying off at the end of 2018 and throughout 2019. So just recently, several people were laid off from that particular company. And they're now in such a different situation than the people, 3 months ago.
Sure.
And even last year, because, someone asked me how do I plan?
Right.
And I said, you make the plan as best you can for where you're going forward. This particular person that I was talking to the other day, and as a private client, also has is in IT and was thinking about moving. He says, into a new position, and he says, what do I do? And I said, keep your plan. I said, your plan for right now was not to, your job is still secure for several more months.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't know what it's going to be like in 3 months.
Right.
We could be back to a, quote, semblance of normal, of what we used to know as normal. Going forward there, it's just going to be whatever it turns out to be, but to keep people focused in and not feel like that fish out of water, because we do identify with what we do as work. We don't always identify into the person that you are, but we identify in our social worlds, in our job titles and our titles in various organizations or different things like that. So when all of that's pulled out from under you and you are trying to figure out how to operate Zoom, how to do these different things, then it is so disconcerting. So you're really exactly right, is finding a way to focus and being able to create a plan, a daily schedule, a weekly schedule. And here again, that's some of the things we talk about, is being able to create focus time for job searching. It shouldn't be 24 hours a day, because the same job is going to be there this afternoon or tomorrow as it was there this afternoon if it was just posted today. So people get scared. They get really, really scared, and that's not uncommon. And it's, oh, here's what they need to know. It's okay to say I'm scared.
Yeah.
Because you're certainly not alone.
Right.
And feel the feelings.
Yeah.
Because when we don't feel the feelings, that's when you get into that crazy headspace, and you need to be able to feel the feeling, acknowledge it, and then say, okay, I see I'm feeling very, very scared. That's fear of unknown. I don't know what that's going to be, but here's what I have today. And I suggest people move as best they can straight into gratitude.
Mm-hmm.
Because as bad as things can be today, for the most of us, we still have so much for which we can be grateful.
I agree with you so much. And I again, I can only speak for myself, but I think about the simple things. Like for right now, I have my health, my family has their health. Again, there are just basic things that are extremely important when it comes down to what's really important in life, and
Yeah.
focusing on that is special. Well, I thank you guys for being a leader and being, someone said to me today, you learn a lot about companies and people in crisis, and whether they're focused on themselves and survival of themselves, or the collective, and how do we all help each other through it, because there's plenty of time for all the rest afterwards. And this just seems like a perfect example of a company stepping forward with your gifts, with your talents, obviously with a need. So you could certainly be thinking about, how do we make more money with this? And the reality is that it's a way to serve the community, and then also have people get to know, and I'm a big believer in karma, that life will work out.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful for you guys for making this available for people. Again, I personally know how talented you are. I imagine the other people have that kind of experience and can really be a blessing to people at this time. So thank you for once again being a leader.
Sure. Let me give the website where they can go register.
Sure.
So the website is, of course, www.newland, Newland, as you can see in Cyndee's background, Newland-associates.com. Now, once you get there, that's the easiest way to get there without the really long
Sure.
URL. Once you get there to newlandassociates.com, you'll see the resource that says Coronavirus Resource Hub.
Okay.
And COVID-19 Resource Hub. Sorry about that. And so, but click on that. You'll see where you can register for the webinar. You'll see the various resources that are there. And I know people are not going to be disappointed in being able to have access to something like this. And I'm really so appreciative to Robert Newland, who is the owner of Newland and Associates, and coming up with this, and being able to, as quickly as we can, get this out to everyone in Florida. Absolutely.
Thank him for us. I will thank him on behalf of all my friends and family that are somehow impacted, community friends. And again, this is a great service. I'm glad that you guys are doing it. I'm glad for everybody putting up with my my green screen look here, but I wanted that information to be up there, and I think it's important. We will put it in the comments, and it'll be there, so you'll be able to find the links. But Margaret, as always, thank you for having such a huge heart, such great gifts, and always giving back in everything you do. And in this case, the world needs you, it needs Newland. So we appreciate the time you spent with us. And I will also keep that information in there too. So thank you.
Thank you, Cyndee. Thank you so much.